Just some thoughts from the spring.
It was a really productive spring. We worked extremely hard, probably the hardest we worked in the 4 springs I've been here now. These guys just embraced every moment of it. We saw a lot of progress as a team. I thought the new guys that came in either as freshmen, high school guys, early enrollees, or the portal guys all just assimilated very, very well. We saw that in the winter training program as well. So we stayed healthy for the most part. I mean, we had some nicks and stuff like that, but we didn't have any serious injuries, at least to guys that are in the depth right now. So we feel really good coming out of this. Now, the next phase is the portal's open, so I'm sure it's madness out there. And these guys will work out for a couple weeks, and they'll take some time off, and we'll get back at it right after Memorial Day weekend. So late in May, that's the next phase. So it's been really good, really competitive, cooperative, intense. We got about probably over 1,400 team reps, which is more than you have in a season. So that's what we needed to do. We needed to work hard, and we did it.
How are you approaching this portal window? Do you feel like you have a lot of holes that you still need to plug?
No, we're in decent shape. I mean, there's some spots that we have to address, and we'll do that. But I'm hopeful that guys that are here want to stay here, appreciate the environment that they've helped create, and are happy with the progress we're making. But there's always going to be surprises. We'll be actively looking for guys that can help us get where we want to be, and that starts the second we walk off this field, because I'm sure there's priority thousands of kids in this portal. It's a different time now that they're going to reduce the roster limits. There's going to be a lot of really good football players out there, so we'll be hunting.
How do you balance building on the momentum from last season to starting over?
You start over. You don't. I mean, last year doesn't matter. A lot of these guys weren't even here. We lost some critical pieces that helped us have the success we had last year. So it's you just start from ground zero. You talk about culture, you talk about work ethic, you talk about attitude, you talk about character, commitment, teamwork, selflessness, all those things. You just got to rebuild it up. So they're really, in this day and age, there's no such thing as momentum coming out of one year to the next. I think if you assume there's going to be, then you make a pretty big mistake potentially. So we just start over.
Jim, you had a chance to see King when you played Temple. What did you like about him, and what makes you think he could be a good fit here?
Well, first and foremost, he's a playmaker. He's made a lot of tackles in his career. And that's a position where that experience and a guy that's been productive is really important. I liked the way he played, liked his energy when he came on his visit, just his personality. He fits here. He's a good-natured, tough, hard-working team kind of guy, and that was what we felt when we brought him in for the weekend, and through this since January, that's what he's proven to be. Same thing in this spring ball. He kind of stepped up, and it's not easy to come in as a new guy and gain instant credibility with your teammates and respect of your teammates, but he did that just in his words and his actions. So I'm really excited about him.
Jim, you say last year's last year, but does last year help sell your message when you're looking at players?
It absolutely does. So that's the difference. If you're going to put it in a word that, or in a realm wasn't necessarily like the football part, there's more people that are willing to listen to us than there were in the past. Recruits, transfers, a little more attention on your program. And that's a real positive, obviously, because we want to capitalize on that. But in terms of like resetting as a team, we don't do that. But yeah, it's been different. There's people that are making unofficial visits here, people that are in contact with us that maybe it was a little more difficult to get their eyes last year.
You look at pieces that you've lost, especially on defense, the front seven, like pillars of sort of the program and the culture. How hard is it to rebuild those blocks?
It's hard. It's hard. You stand out here and you see Val and Chase sitting over there. Of course, I see them every day. They're both living at my house, which has been unbelievably awesome to have them there. Fun. Val and my wife cook every night. Cookies, zucchini bread, carrot cake, sourdough bread. I walk in the other day. Val's got a bowl with a towel over the top of it, and I start to pull. Coach, don't pull that back. That's my dough is rising, and it's just awesome. But Val, Dow, Chase, Jelani, Malik, Tui, Ronte, those guys were here through the thick and the thin. And so there was this grit to them, and they'd been the guy. So they understood what we were all about, and they'd kind of put some skins on the wall. They'd earned it, and it's hard to replace that. It really is, and that's why one of the reasons that this spring was so demanding on these guys. You want to see who's going to emerge, who's going to show up. And when you apply pressure to the team, or things are kind of going off track a little, which maybe you create on purpose, who's going to try to get it back on track. And so those are really important things for us to have accomplished this spring. That's like why I got like Taekwondo and kind of emerging, when you see things kind of going out of whack, he just kind of has the ability to bring it back in.
Coach, on that note, who have been some of the people who have stepped up leadership-wise for this group with you losing so many of that senior leadership?
Damon Brinson, Wes Ho, I mentioned Taekwondo, Donovan Branch, Karsten, and they're all in their own way. Some guys never say a word, but the way they work and their attitude every single day, they're big time influencers on this team. And Cam Chadwick in his own way, Joe Figliano, obviously. So I think there's just a lot of potential. I think as important as leadership is just the connection, and the team seems to be building a connection, and that's really important as you go forward.
You talk about people listening to maybe more now, more willing to listen. You've had a few players that went to the teams that you played against, right? Impressed them, and they went there. Mm-hmm. So it must be nice to have somebody now like Taekwondo that you saw, you liked whatever you saw,
and we're able to pull in here.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's just this. It's a good feeling to at least get in the game. There's been times in the past we couldn't even get in the game with a guy, and now we feel like people are willing to listen. There's a genuine interest, and then when they come here and they meet the people and they see the facilities and the way these kids treat each other, geez, I didn't know it was going to be like this. So at least we're getting to that point, and then we just got to pull a few victories out of that, and we'll keep building this thing the right way. Character is so important to our team, and that connection. And so we always have to be really careful that it's more than just about the football player. It's about the person as well, because that's what builds the strength of your team is the character of your team.
Donovan Branch was a guy that had decommitted, I believe, and then you guys got him to come back, and now he's been here 4 years.
Yeah.
What was it that you saw then that made you want him to stay?
Well, he decommitted. I was right when I got here. I didn't know him, but you watch the film and you saw traits. He's a guy that's done a tremendous job of developing himself, and physically, mentally, emotionally. He's a world-class person. He's grounded. He takes it serious. He's been the same kind of since he got here, and now you're really starting to see it pay off in the way he looks physically, his understanding of the defense, his production. So if you look at his production, if you went off his pure stats, there's nothing to write home about. But that's kind of those people outside that are looking at the stats. Fortunately, we get to see him every day in meetings, in the weight room. We get to see him at practice, and we know what he's becoming.
Jim, I hate to throw a used to be out there, but it used to be these springs would end with a spring game or a scrimmage or something like that. Not anymore. What's changed?
Well, we decided last year when we were out there on Mora, at least I decided we weren't going to do that again. Number one, the turf isn't conducive to safety, in my opinion, in football. It's okay for lacrosse and soccer and the field, if they play field hockey, the things they do out there, but for our football team, that turf is not safe. Number two, it was cold and wet and rainy and no one was there. And it just wasn't the energy and the environment that we needed. And number three, I feel like in a practice like this, we can get a lot more done. We can create more situations. We can create the energy we want. We can get the evaluations that we want. And so we just decided last year that, we're not doing it anymore. Now, other people have their own reasons. For us, it was really just a function of how can we have 15 really, really good practices where we can develop as a football team, irrelevant of what anyone else is doing.
I'm just curious on your position on the state of sort of the transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff, where now we're seeing at least one player, show that you can kind of hold out and go that route. Is it?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's really no rules that are being followed. Tampering is rampant. The NCAA refuses to step in and do anything about it. I know this: if one of our players that I don't think is going to leave all of a sudden leaves, I'm calling that team out. If I have any inkling that there's tampering, I'm naming names. I'm not going to be one of those coaches that says, hey, the NCAA's got to do something about tampering. I'm going to say, no, School X, just like I did in the winter, School X did this. And then the NCAA has to decide if they want to do something about it, which so far it doesn't appear they're going to. I think it's chaos. I think it's unfortunate. I think it's horrible for the players. I don't think it's the players' fault at all. I mean, these players, they see the money out there. They want to go get it. There's no contracts. There's nothing holding them back from them. They're young, impressionable kids. I don't blame them at all. It is what it is. I mean, I can sit here. I'm not bitching. I'm just telling you the facts. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, you kind of get a little adrenaline rush out of it at the same time, you know. I know the positives. It gives us a chance to go out and, you know, better our team, and it gives players a chance to go out and better their situation. But at some point in time, the people that govern this have to have some parameters that they enforce and they stick to. Otherwise, it's going to implode.
You didn't hear anything after? You didn't hear anything at all after when you mentioned Washington State?
It's like Mike Gundy said. You know, go look and see what Mike Gundy said about spring games. You know, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but until somebody's willing to actually hold somebody accountable, people are just going to do what they want, regardless of what the rules say, and that is exactly what's happening. But I'm not going to be afraid to call it out because I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Coach, one of the players on your spring roster is Drew Cron.
Yeah.
From baseball. Can you talk about him at all? I don't know how it works. Is this some sort of kind of tryout, or how it plays out with?
It was a tryout. He impressed us. No, Coach Penders talked about him a lot to me, and Drew expressed an interest in coming out and playing football again. And you would not have known that it had been a while since he played. I mean, he stepped right in, and he was really good, and he understood the game, and he's competitive, and he's tough, and he catches the ball consistently. He learns well. I don't know what his plans are going forward. I mean, if tomorrow he's out there, you know, hitting cleanup for our baseball team, I'm all for it. You know, I'd love to have him back in the summer and in the fall, though. So, whatever he wants to do, you know, and whatever Coach Penders thinks is best for him, I like him. You know, I like dual sport guys. Like I wouldn't mind our guys running track. You know, that'd be great. Just go out there and compete. That's the best thing we can do is go compete.
Good.
So, all right. Hey, thanks, everybody.